Hi, I would like to read you guys something that I consider very important. We post a lot of posts on Facebook, and I think it's sometimes good to read them out and share them in a video way, particularly the ones that have struck a chord the most with people. And so yeah, here we go. And we're going to discuss it afterwards as well. I just wanted to make other videos outside of the series as well for you guys. This one is Orientation 129, An Inconvenient Truth and the Possible Exit. The last 10 to 15 years, especially because of the internet, the big market of spirituality and New Age had its massive explosion, spreading vastly among people and within their mind. Thousands of different products, from the activation of DNA to the Kundalini laughing meditation, from the ridiculous techniques aimed to achieve the calibration of consciousness up to the cosmic Christ. From the flowering of so many astral beings, channelings, people, up to the big deception known as ascension. From the secret to the power of now, up to the 2012 delusion, and so on. Regardless of the truths and the fakes, regardless of the crazies and the scams, regardless of the ridiculous illusions and the honest attempts to find out, almost desperately, some kind of a revelation. And regardless of such a tremendous amount of energies, intellect and activities spent to improve the contemporary smoky New Age searching for the sense of life. Regardless of all these things, I guess now is time to stop for a while the daily meditation, the daily think positive mental posture, and the daily whatsoever calibration of consciousness. And think without the searching modality. To stop it for even a single day is an act of responsibility. The act of thinking radically on the actual position in which we are should be done, in which should be done as an act of self-responsibility. If you are navigating in the fog, your responsibility is to stop the ship and to fix the compass before you crash, right? Do you agree with that simple consideration? So let's think about that. The last year, you have been trying a massive range of different spiritual keys. Information, belongings, revelation, and all kinds. Isn't it true? The Kundalini, the yoga, the psychics, the channeling, the Reiki, the spiritual books, the calibration of consciousness, the retreats, the think positive people, the light workers community, the conspiracy theories to feel smart and in the know, the raw food to feel medically okay while your mind is elsewhere in a total mess, and collective awakening, and so on, right? You have been willing to be involved in all possible tsunamic rivers of information, from the conspiracy theories to feel as a conscious person, to the Galactic Federation of Light and the Pleiadians, perhaps to feel a member of a kind of cosmic family. From the starseeds, the collective knowledge of the family constellations in Bali, to the knowing of how to achieve the fifth dimension. I'm talking with you now, but there are millions like you over there. The psychological condition is the same. So now, after years of reading, practicing, informations, activities, techniques you learned, spiritual people and motivational preachers you met, listened and followed, and after lots of books on aliens, ascension, 2012, and revelations of all kinds that you read, after all of these things, makes you dizzy, right? Let's inquire in total honesty in your actual situation. And your actual situation can be summarized in a single question. Where are you now? Which implies, we are the so-called light workers, awakened people. Where are you now? I mean, psychologically, not in terms of actions. Do you understand? Psychologically means the wholeness of your mental condition, emotions, feelings, intellect, logic, visionariness, that dog barking over there, perceptiveness, all together. No matter if he is building up the umpteenth spiritual eco-village and she is creating a new ashram, and no matter if those people, just because they have money and followers, are setting up the umpteenth big spiritual conference, regarding the collective evolution, and other people over there are about to launch the new book written by the new channel person in town. I mean psychologically, the totality of your mind. You and all of the people like you who have been involved in all of those misty and confused fields of illusion, the sum of which is called the New Age. Where are you now? Even the religious, where are we now? Psychologically, not spiritually or mystically. Are you about to enter the fifth dimension? Are you sure? Because if you are really sure to be in the mystical path of something by being involved in all of these drugs, then I ask you, why do you keep struggling with your psychological suffering? Which is even worse than when you started with the spiritual thing and the spiritual path. Are they symptoms of the awakening, of the shift and ascension like you've been led to believe? But please, please, before you totally lose your mind, realize how you are actually caring more about the path rather than your own mind. It seems that your mind is almost irrelevant as the ship in the mist. How can the mist be more important than the ship, which is you? You're the self that is driving the ship. Do you understand what I'm saying? What the radical point is? Call me arrogant if you like, but please, try to understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you, your mind, and your life. But you care more about the mist in which your psychological ship is navigating rather than the rudder and the compass and the whole ship itself. How does that make any sense? Inquire in that mist and ask to yourself such a simple question. Are you really sure that the reason of your psychological discomfort is the whatsoever ascension? Or perhaps it is to be found in the fact that you have been spending the last few years desperately and almost compulsively trying to get closer and closer to whatsoever truth, so to escape the boredom and the pressure of the modern life, of the struggles and the dramas, hoping to get rid of your depression and anxiety and your psychological discomfort. Have you ever spoke to your depression, to your discomfort, had a conversation with it? Or are you too busy in building up your past towards the hallucinations suggested by the modern big market of spirituality? And again, please, I'm not insulting you, but please, observe the psychological place in which you are now, profoundly, intellectually, with no pride nor shame. You are there in the same place, playing again, over and over again, the same battered and decadent playground of anxieties, doubts, insecurities, and mental confusions. The only difference is that you have more broken toys, more demi-informations, more false hopes, and more confusions. It's your condition. It's not my idea, it's the inconvenient truth for you and for so many others like you. So it is for you, so it is for millions of New Age followers. Call it a spiritual mind, call it symptoms of ascension, call it the activation of the DNA, it's irrelevant. Because your mind is still suffering badly while your intellect is busy in other things. Over here, man in black. Hey.
So we would like to talk about the point, what I like to call the radical point.
Mm-hmm. Which is your article.
Which is not just the point in regard of the spiritual scenario nowadays, but the point in general, in regard of human life, in terms of not what is happening to me, to you, to my neighbor, whatever, not about what is happening in the world in terms of conspiracy or blah blah blah, but especially this, statement that especially spiritual people like to say we are all one. So can we track a general point, general but not superficial, in regard of this radical point, which is what I mean is the point of the actual human condition nowadays, today, right here, right now, in terms not here in Bali, but in the world. Not without the fragmentation. We don't want to talk about the conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to talk about the New Age, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to talk about Obama, the politician, and all of this stuff. We don't want to talk about the school system and the fact that so many people are under medication and drugs, but the wholeness of mankind now, today, together, no?
Yes.
Like if you watch a sphere in the sky, if we imagine the sphere as the consciousness, the whole vision, it doesn't matter where we are. We can be in the ashram, we can be in the monastery in Tibet, we can be in Wall Street stock market, we can be struggling our misty and black corner in our room because of our depression. The moment we look at the ball, the sphere, suspended in the sky, the sphere is always the same. Because what we call fragmentation is like if you watch this, which is a pot and a plant, and you are there, you have an idea of that.
That's right.
And this idea gets conditioned by your past image of that. If I am over there, your neighbor, I see this pot in a different way.
Perspective and angles.
We are agreed that it's a pot, but I have an idea which is according to my past. Maybe my past is a scientific past, your past is a spiritual past. So you see the flower, the pot, like, oh wow, beautifully love is love. And you see the flower like, that flower belongs to that family.
Or it's dangerous because it has thorns, but that's exactly the same thing when there's a car accident and 10 different people witness it. They each see something different from their angle, from their perspective, from their beliefs, and so forth.
Yeah, and that's the point. I really believe that it must be extremely relevant today, considering the confusion, sorry, the fight within the mind, the heart of people, and even in a social way, to consider this point. It's not difficult to get it, even from an intellectual point of view.
The wholeness, the totality of it all, looking at it from as many different perspectives as you can.
Immediately again, the moment I look at this terminology wholeness, immediately I look at the wholeness through my past.
Right.
Because maybe in the past I have my God, I have my spirituality, or I have my business past.
But that can't be the wholeness, and that's still
not the wholeness.
fragmentation.
It's fragmentation. So, inquiring about the radical point, can we look at the radical point today, which means our life and mankind together, no? Not I'm Muslim, I'm Christian, I believe in God, I'm spiritual, I'm New Ageist, I'm communist, no. Together, as a sphere that contains everything, not just the genius of mankind, not just the positive stuff, but it includes especially the pain, the suffering, the struggle, and it's not my idea.
The collage of humanity, basically. All the different sides and facets to us, all of that must be considered because it's all like a piece of the puzzle, and without it then we're again fragmented once again. So this is the big thing when it comes to the fears and the insecurities. Nobody wants to look there, nobody wants to go there, but by doing that you're enabling yourself. That's like trying to write a poem without certain letters. How can you do it? Why would you make it so much harder for yourself? It seems to be so backwards, yet we're doing that all the time.
So to understand this, how to look at the wholeness, first of all, we have to understand what we mean by fragmentation. To explain that in a very simple way, is the action of looking at the wholeness of mankind spiritually, a global action, is the action of looking, inquiring in the wholeness of life from a spiritual point of view, or from just an intellectual point of view, or from just an historical point of view, or from just my simple mind point of view. Is that an action to inquire in the wholeness? Is not.
And this is why we have so many borders and imaginary lines in the world today, different countries and separation, because we're doing the same thing inside of ourselves. We gotta really be aware of that profoundly and deeply. If we don't like it, what are we doing inside to encourage and fuel and feed it every day, every moment even, with the choices we're making, and with our relationships with those thoughts and choices?
So, and here comes the
Radical point?
the radical point, which is both funny and tragicomic. Because some of you will say, but I am a simple mind. How can I can't do that. I cannot see as you see. But the point is that, do you really believe that you are a simple mind? Or this idea is what you have been told?
Very people who say we are all one, and you'll realize that you're also one with the wholeness of your mind as well. So it's a belief and the perspective that's getting in the way. And that our idea behind these posts is to get you to see yourself and the world in new ways, and to be able to have the skills to look deeper and understand what's beyond or what's behind this thought, and why am I doing this, and so forth, to get you to the root.
Yeah. So, before this inquiry, again, not through a spiritual point of view is meaningless.
Tunnel vision still.
I know that sounds extremely paradoxical, but if I look and inquire and observe reality, the wholeness of life today, through a spiritual point of view, or through a business point of view, or through a scientific point of view,
You're limiting yourself.
even from an atheist point of view, or a religious point of view, I'm doing an act of violence, because I'm creating fragmentation in life. I see the truth of life, let's say, fragmented. It's my truth according with my community, my past, my what I belong to, and so on. So
I'm this, I'm not that. Therefore, what I'm not is my enemy or something I need to stay away from all the time. But it always finds a way to get into your life, to get into your mind, and so you create this fight and this struggle.
it's a trick of the mind, because even if we both, I'm your neighbor, and we are watching the plant both from different direction and point of view, both of us, we know that it's just a pot with a plant there. But what gets familiar, especially unconsciously, is the vision, the image of the thought. So her image of the thought is this. Every time she will see something like that, the image recalls immediately the thought, and then creates a structure, what is familiar, the known. So
The decoding of the mind and how you interpret a situation or a dream or a vision from your religious perspective or spiritual, which is the filter aspect that we're cautioning you to when you're looking at the world.
correct. So the radical point, what is the radical point? Which is kind of painful. The radical point, technically, intellectually, philosophically, if you like, but it's not enough, is to see life without the image, which is the thought we have in regard of life. Can we see life without the image of life we had and we have? And the painful part is that to see that, first of all, before doing that, because it's not that easy, we have to do what is
Dismantling?
the most painful psychological things for the many. Even before the dismantling, is to admit to ourselves that our mind is conditioned.
Kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous. The first step towards recovery is to admit that you have a problem, admit that you're conditioned, admit that you're a thoughtaholic or you're addicted to your beliefs. and so then we can work with you, then we can go past that.
Correct, especially in regard of the spiritual scenario nowadays. That I'm sorry, I know that many people can surely get offended by that, but the spiritual scenario nowadays is simply ridiculous. It looks exactly like a ship that has no more compass and no more anchor and no longer at the lighthouse, and the ship is going just in the middle of the mist, trying to move from there to there with no reference point. So I know that sounds very annoying because everybody wants peace, love, and just living in positivity.
But there's no easy answer to do it. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be willing to go deep in order to achieve that. To realize that all the things that were distracting yourself, these beliefs, these ideas, these truths, searching, is all the mist, and we're focusing on the mist rather than the ship, which is our mind.
It's very annoying, but you know, the ship I'm talking about is the mind.
Yeah.
The ship is the mind.
That was clarified in the post, which is that's what I like to
Oh yeah, it's about another post.
That's what I wanted to share, and then also how everybody else responded to it, how clear it was for them.
Yeah. So metaphorically, the ship is our mind, and the pilot of the ship, the driver, is our self, the self. And how can the ship navigate the sea, especially when the sea is within a storm? If the pilot of the driver of the ship is drunk.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're in a storm. It's really funny.
We are clearly in a storm because by reading each spiritual blog or by joining each spiritual retreats, especially here in Bali, which is kind of a homeland of all the most unbelievable, crazy stratagem to cover up the fear from we saw recently.
Cosmic unicorn activation of your DNA. Not saying there isn't some truth in that, but I mean there's a sign there that you must be very confused to kind of pursue or look for answers in that way, rather than inquiring first on what is really going on in you.
It's so easy to try to build up, you know, a spiritual solution in order to procrastinate over and over the honest and the intimate and profound dealing with the personal fears. Not just fear, but confusion, insecurity. The situation that is going on actually right now, not of course regarding the spiritual scenario only, but in general. Can we call that situation going on right now as a shift? Or perhaps is a shift in confusion in a, as you said before, in a decadent way, like a decay. We are going in a field, in a sea, that has more storms and more confusions.
The shift.
So,
the shit. The seed in the shit, and it's kind of funny because when you're with your accent, when you say shit, it's to a lot of people it sounds like shit. The mind shit.
It's actually the same in some way. And please don't take offense. But we are here talking about this word that is in the pact of extinction, which is honesty. Mm-hmm. It's not trying to suggest another way of life. What we are doing is the attempt to cultivate together as a co-working what I call the dealing with the radical point, watching life without the conditioned thought, together and fully, with no the spiritual blah 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 or this is scientific and blah blah, no, together, with no beliefs. Okay?
Because the batteries.
Okay.
So.